Yo, what's your boy Ghost here, and today I'm bringing you guys another comparison video between the Owen gun and Welgun. And I know I've made this video about 1,000,000 times, but again, bro, the situation has changed between both these guns because in the Season 2 Reloaded update, they ended up actually nerfing the Welgun. And, you know, a lot of people start questioning how good the Welgun was after the update. Like, I remember seeing, like, first day, first hour, first 2 hours of the update, people were like, yo, is the Welgun going to be good? Or, like, MP40's back? Or Owen gun is going to be, like, the best now? And, you know, people just started already forming their opinions early on. As time has gone on, and we've experienced, I guess, the Welgun nerf, I feel like I have a better understanding of how the Owen gun personally stands now, as opposed to how it did before the update. But before we get into the comparison, I want to say if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. 102,000. We're about 70 subs away. So every sub does greatly help, and it's always very appreciated. Also, if you guys could do me a favor, following me over at my Twitch channel at @Owen__, that'd be greatly appreciated as well. We're trying to stream as often over there as possible. You know, and it's always a vibe when I'm over there. Definitely always a vibe. But yeah, man. With that being said, let's just get into the comparison. And then we have the recoil pattern for the Owen gun, which as you guys can see isn't too crazy. The recoil is, you know, or the recoil pattern at least doesn't look that bad. It's pretty simple. And in general, man, this weapon is a pretty reliable choice at range. I feel like when I see people play this, or when I watch people play this game and use this gun specifically, they're not afraid to use it at range. And people just, you know, have no problem expanding this gun to being a ranged weapon. And if you can't control this weapon, bro, like, I don't know, man. All I gotta say is, bro, just hold down your right hand analog stick. If you can't control weapons in Warzone, it's not even about spending a lot of time on the game. It's literally just holding down your right hand analog stick. Maybe it'll take a little bit of time to develop that little habit, but, bro, like, this game is way too easy to control guns to have people still struggle with, like, recoil control. It's just bizarre because it quite literally is super simple, and yet there's a lot of people still struggle. But trust me, bro, hold down your right analog. Just work on that, and you'll be okay. But anyways, man. The thing about this Owen gun that's always intrigued me is that if you guys watched my, like, just any Owen gun comparison before the update, you would know I have a specific opinion on this gun. It's actually a pretty interesting one because I feel like it definitely applies to this weapon, and that is the fact that this weapon, like, I acknowledge that it was a really good SMG. Like, by far, it was a top 3 SMG, even probably, like, top 2. But the problem for me was that this gun wasn't recognized as the sole #1 go-to SMG before the update, before the Welgun got nerfed. If you guys pay attention, bro, like, if you guys look back at, like, the MP40 meta or just any dominant SMG meta that we had in the past, like, they've always been, without a doubt, the best SMGs and the ones that everyone used. But the Owen gun, I don't know if it was because there was just a lot of selection or the weapons were just as good as the Owen gun, but, like, when the Owen gun was, or I guess the Owen gun was considered the top gun before the update, there's still a lot of people that were questioning it. People were still using the Welgun. Some people were still exploring the MP40, and it just wasn't, like, the gun that everyone wanted to use. Now, me personally, I felt the same way. Like, one day I'll probably rock the Owen gun, and the next I'd feel like, okay, you know, maybe it's time for the Welgun again. And it's just, I never felt like the Owen gun was truly the gun that was gonna be my main SMG. Whereas now, with the update, I've been seeing way more Owen guns. I have not been seeing as many Welguns as I have from just everywhere, like from people that I watch to play the game on stream, or like people in general. Like, the Owen gun to me seems like it's now truly the #1 SMG. Now, this could change over the course of time, but right now, off the first, like, what, week this update has been out, I've noticed that the Owen gun has now at this point looked like the SMG that everyone wants to rock. And for me personally, like, I feel the same way. I'm gonna be doing that as well, because I think the Welgun, although it didn't get nerfed by much at all, like, I think maybe it's just like a mental thing, but, like, the gun doesn't feel like, it feels like it lets me down more often than it did before. Like, again, it might just be a mental thing where I'm just reading too much into the nerf that happened to it, which, again, it wasn't really that big of a nerf, but, like, I don't know, it may just be something in my head that I'm just like, I got nerfed, so now it's just like, it may just be completely worse, and, you know, the only gun is just they're gonna be using. I don't know, that may be the case. Like I said, maybe in like 2 weeks from now, the Welgun might be back again, where, like, a lot of people are running it again more comfortably. But right now, I feel like the Owen gun is 100% taking over. But with that being said, let's just get into some stats in the Welgun. And here I have the recoil pattern for the Welgun, which as you guys can see is very similar to that of the Owen guns. You literally couldn't tell the difference. If I lined them both up and told you that they were both like if I said the Welgun's recoil pattern is actually the Owen guns and vice versa, you wouldn't correct me because you couldn't tell if I was telling the truth or not. But that's just how crazy it is, and that stays the same for the range situation. The Welgun, when it was being used like crazy before the update, and I guess even now still, people are not afraid to expand this gun. I definitely wasn't. Like after the update and my first few games using the Welgun, I had no problem just challenging people with this Welgun. I had just stupid ranges that the SMG shouldn't be challenging, but I don't know, I just like doing it, and it was definitely capable of doing that. So I don't know, something about these two weapons and doing that, like, it's just really fun. But anyways, man, like I mentioned earlier, the nerf that this weapon actually ended up receiving isn't that big of a deal. To me, it doesn't feel like any different before the update, or at least I would have said that if, like in the first few days. But like after a week, I don't know. Like, this is what I was talking about. Like, I feel like it's just all mental, because literally my first impression was that it didn't change. But then as time went on, like now, it just feels a little bit just more awkward to use, or just a little bit weaker to use. I mean, and I don't know. Like I said, first impression was not like this. So for it to be like this right now, it's kind of surprising me. Because before this update, I actually would have preferred the Welgun over the Owen gun. But now, since this update has happened, like, it's vice versa now. Now it's the Owen gun is my preferred SMG, whereas the Welgun is like the one that, you know, I don't really want to use. But that could always change in like a week. That's just how I always am with these Warzone guns. I just flip flop like crazy when it comes to these things. But I don't know, man. We're just gonna have to wait and see. But anyways, man, for the first set of stats that we're going to talk about is the fire rate, where the Welgun actually has the advantage by quite a bit, because the fire rate for the Welgun is actually 643 RPM, whereas the Owen guns is a 500 RPM, and that is a pretty big difference between both these guns, specifically because at really close range, the damages aren't like too crazy far apart, like it isn't like a complete one-sided thing. The Owen gun does have an advantage, but you know, the Welgun's fire rate just helps it not get completely destroyed in close range engagements. And also, I know you could put on fire rate attachments, but like, I don't know, like if you put them on both guns, it really won't change the difference there. So then, you know, moving over to the damages for both these guns, for 0 to 13.3 meters for the Welgun, we got 53 damage to the head, 42 to the neck, 36 to the chest, 33 to the stomach and extremities. For 0 to 13 meters for the Owen gun, you have 55 damage to the head and neck and chest, 39 to the stomach and extremities. So, you know, actually the chest right there is the really big difference. 55 damage to the chest. You know how crazy that is? That, like, you don't even have to go for a head. That's the same amount of damage as a headshot, which is absurd. 55. You 5-shot somebody in the chest at close range. The Welgun, like, you need to do like about 7, I think. 7? No, like 8. I think it's 8. I believe it's 8. If I do the math correctly, it's 8, I believe. No, 7 or 8. 7 or 8. Like, it takes more bullets at the chest. And the chest is one of like the easiest shots to hit in the game, like chest and stomach. So for the Owen gun to have that much damage at that range, that's actually pretty absurd. But again, what saves the Welgun is the fire rate. And this was even before the update and all that. Like, the fire rate is always going to be the saving grace for this gun when it comes to being against the Owen gun. Because, I mean, that's just what it comes down to sometimes. But anyways, man, moving over to the longer ranges for 13.3 to 18.6 meters. For the Welgun, got 46 damage to the head, 37 to the neck, 31 to the chest, 29 to the stomach and extremities. For 18.6 meters and above, you got 37 to the head, 30 to the neck, 25 to the chest, 22 to the stomach and extremities. For the Owen gun, for 13 to 16 meters, you got 47 damage to the head, neck, and chest, 33 to the stomach, and then 32 to the extremities. For 16 meters and above, you got 31 damage to the head and neck and chest, and then 22 to the stomach and extremities. So the damage drop does kind of kick in for 16 meters and above for the Owen gun, but aside from like the headshot, I would argue that it's still pretty, you know, more powerful, just because like of the chest damage. Like, the chest damage is absurd for this Owen gun. The chest damage should not be as high as it is for this Owen gun. And it actually might be a glitch on the website, because I remember like a few weeks ago, the damages were way different than what they're being displayed now. I haven't really heard the update about why this is the case. It may be the updated damages, and that's the case. It definitely feels like it, though. Don't get me wrong. The Owen gun kills really, really fast because of that damage, and I mean, you could definitely notice it when you're playing the game. But anyways, man, like I mentioned, the Welgun's capabilities of competing is solely based off the fact that it has a high fire rate, or at least for Vanguard weapons. And then like the Owen gun's just has that stupid chest damage. Like, yeah, the neck and headshot damages are really crazy, but like having the chest damage being that high, like it's absurd. 55 damage to a chest at close range, like that's just crazy. Like that's crazy because it's one of the most common shots that you're gonna get in a gunfight, and for you to have that much power in that range and like that region, it's just absurd. But anyways, man, I would say in conclusion that this Owen gun after this update is now actually the sole #1 SMG in the game. Yes, I think the Welgun is definitely a top 3 SMG, and I also think the MP40 is a top 3 SMG, but they're just a step behind at the moment when it comes to comparing to an Owen gun. I definitely think the Owen gun right now is the go-to SMG, and you know, I couldn't really confidently say that before the update, but now I definitely can. But I'm gonna be curious to see, man. I'm definitely expecting some sort of change to this Owen gun. I was expecting it in the Season 2 Reloaded update, but I don't know, man. Time will tell what they do with this weapon. But yeah, man, with that being said, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one, and I'm out. Peace.